Jam Live Music Arcade is interesting. I've said it once and I'll say it again, I am far more appreciative of a developer when they do something different with an established genre, instead of going with the pack and just creating a clone. This title, recently released on Xbox Live Marketplace and the PlayStation Network, is definitely changing things up. Playing this game with a controller isn't the easiest thing, and I highly suggest using one of the Rock Band or Guitar Hero guitars you have lying around, assuming you have one of those. If not, you're about to take a much harder route. The mechanics of the game can be hard to process initially, but any length of time playing Jam will warrant a better understanding of what you need to do. Now, bear with me here, I'm going to try and explain this. So when you play Jam Live Music Arcade, you've got 5 tracks you're working with. Each track corresponds to a musical part in the song, like vocals, bass, drums, keys, you get the idea. Within every track, there are 5 more sections that corresponds to a specific musical loop. It's like Rock Band on crack. Strumming up selects a track, strumming down activates sections within that track. If you don't already find this to be quite the tricky concept, consider that you sometimes have to deactivate tracks and change key banks during songs. The larger game is broken down into 2 main sections, Jam Mode and Arcade Mode. It makes sense because, well, Jam Live Music Arcade. Anyway, in Jam Mode, you take songs and create your own mixes. These mixes can be saved and then played within Arcade Mode. The only real goal of Jam Mode is to make your own music and stay on beat within the song, but this is really what this game is about. Medals are awarded based on how many times you change things up and how well you utilize the various banks. The game comes with 32 songs to work with, and since you can create your own mixes out of these songs in Jam Mode, you can make as many versions of these songs as your heart and hard drive will allow. Arcade Mode requires you to follow along a pre-mixed version of some songs, most of which I had never actually heard before, activating tracks and sticking to the proper rhythm. I didn't care for the music selection. Most of the songs were not only foreign to me, but they weren't that good. Of course, that's really personal, not necessarily a view of the overall game. And the songs I didn't know have appeared in so many iterations of rhythm games that they weren't the most enticing choices. Seriously, Modest Mouse is throwing the rights to Float On to anyone who will take it. That song has been in at least 4 different games prior to this. Now, I know Jam Live Music Arcade is really about creating your own music, not playing along to the stuff that has already been created, but I do have to take a look at every aspect of this game, and Arcade Mode contains one of the more major design flaws I've ever encountered in a rhythm title, a negative feedback loop. Let's just compare Jam Arcade to Rock Band for a moment. When you miss notes in Rock Band, your meter starts depleting. There are quite a lot of notes in each song, so it takes a handful of misses before the crowd starts booing and your fretboard or whatever starts pulsing red. Aside from the red glow, missing notes doesn't really affect the notes coming at you. In Jam, missing a note reduces the amount of notes you can see and when you can see them. After you've missed 6 or 7 times, there's almost no way to pull out of the tailspin. That is the negative feedback loop. You are doing something poorly and it becomes harder to do what you were already having trouble doing in the first place. It's a huge misstep in this title, especially since the overall concept is quite complex to begin with. Now, I am fairly decent at rhythm games. I've played Parappa the Rapper, Jamalami, Taiko Drum Master, Rock Band, Guitar Man, Samba de Amigo, Guitar Hero, Donkey Konga, Dance Dance Revolution. Basically, if a game has come out that requires me to stay on beat, I can usually crush it. And after a very slight learning curve, I picked up Jam and played through without any real difficulty until the final song, which I still cannot beat. I think my brain has reached a point where I cannot process any more information. Hours of practice still didn't warrant successful completion of that last track. What I'm getting at here is that when I went in and made my own mixes, I created much harder songs than anything I encountered in Arcade Mode. I wasn't really able to tell how easy or hard I was making things on myself, and it made most of my mixes next to impossible to replay. I don't know if I can say that this game is worth the $10 price tag. I like the challenge of adopting a new way to read music as it comes across on a screen, but I'm not much of a remix artist. You can't purchase Jam expecting it to be a title you are going to gold star the whole way through and then be done with it, because that isn't the point. It's built as an organic remixing program. If that's your type of game, then Jam is one of the best titles you can get. If not, you might want to hold off on this purchase.